Hello students, today we are going to talk about the biogeochemical cycle. So what is the meaning of biogeochemical cycle? So it is a constant interaction between the biotic and abiotic components of the biosphere. Biotic component means all the living organisms, abiotic components matlab ki or non-living things, right? Biosphere makes it a dynamic but stable system. And these interactions consist of a transfer of matter and energy between the different components of the biosphere. So let us look at some process involved in the maintenance of the above balance, right? So basically the constant interactions between the biotic and abiotic components of the biosphere make the system stable, right? And these constant interactions have the transfer of matter, energy, etc., right? So this kind of maintenance and balance we are going to study about in detail. So first of all, let's talk about the water cycle. So you have seen how the water evaporates from the water bodies and subsequent condensation of the water vapor leads to rain. So these basic concepts we already know that during a summer season the water will be converted into its vapor through the different water bodies like ponds, river, lakes, etc., right? But we do not see the seas and oceans drying up. Though the evaporation will going to be takes place during the summer season, but still we observe that seas and oceans never going to be drier. So how is the water returning to these water bodies, right? So every year if the water will be converted into its vapor, then why the water body is returning to this water, right? So water returning to these water bodies, how it will going to be take place, right? So the whole process in which water evaporates and falls on the land as rain and later flows back into the sea via rivers is known as the water cycle, right? So see, the level of the sea will not going to be deplete. Why is it so? Because due to the rain, whatever the water will going to be returned to the earth surface, that will be in the different water bodies like ponds, rivers, lakes, etc. So that water ultimately goes to the seas. This cycle is not as straightforward and simple as this statement seems to be implied. So ये बोलने में जितना easy है उतनी cycle easy नहीं होती है. All of the water that falls on the land does not immediately flow back into the sea. Some of it shifts into the soil and becomes part of the underground reservoir of fresh water. Some of this underground water finds its way to the surface through springs, or we bring it to the surface of for our use through wells or tube wells. Water is also used by terrestrial animals and plants for various life processes. So if we try to understand the water cycle with the help of this figure, then we can have the idea that first of all the evaporation will going to be takes place from the different water reservoirs. So the evaporation will cause the water to be converted into its vapor. Then after respiration, right? Transpiration. During transpiration also what happened? The plant will going to be lose the water. So it will also goes converted into vapors and it will goes upward, right? Exactly same way, during the respiration also, the vapors will goes upward because as I told you that vapors are warmer and warm air is lighter in weight, so it will rise upward, right? So now all the water vapors will make a cloud and above that surface it will going to be cool down. So this cool down water vapor condense and it will come back in the form of rain or a snowfall onto the land. So whatever the water come back or return to the land will have the different reservoir, like some of the water will be absorbed by the soil, so it will consider as the underground water. Some of the raindrops directly fall onto the sea surface, right? And some of the water flows from the land area to the seas, right? So these are the different phenomena which will going to be occurred during the water cycle in nature. So let us look at another aspect of what happens to water during the water cycle. As you know, water is capable of dissolving a large number of substances. As water flows through or over rocks containing soluble minerals, some of them gets dissolved in the water, and thus rivers carry many nutrients from the land to the sea, and these are used by marine organisms. So basically one question is also there in our mind, that every year the rainfall will going to be takes place, and rainwater is not salty water, right? Rainwater does not having the salt, so why the proportion of salt in the seas or oceans will not going to be decreased? Because every year there will be abundant rainfall, then also the sea water will remain saline, or sea water will remain salty. So why is it so? So the answer of this question is that water flows through or over rocks containing soluble minerals and salt, right? तो समुद्र में जो पानी वापस रिटर्न बैक होता है, that water will flows through a different rocks then different places, right? So जहाँ से भी वो फ्लो करके आएगा तो डेफिनेटली कोई मैदान होंगे, कोई रॉक्स होंगे, राइट? सो इन दैट सॉल्ट्स विल बी प्रेजेंट, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ दी सॉल्ट्स विल सोल्यूबल इन दी वाटर. तो वो सॉल्ट सोल्यूबल होके वाटर में वाटर थ्रू कहाँ पे जाएंगे? वापस समुद्र में जाएंगे, एंड इट विल मेक अ सी वाटर मोर सॉल्टी. So that is the reason that the concentration of the salt will not going to be decreased in the sea water and ocean water, right? So this is the concept of water cycle, that how the water remain balanced in the earth or on the surface of the earth.